Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, wanted to do a quick video regarding an issue related to the TID radio TD-H3, and this is one that I've seen come up quite a lot in both my comments section as well as Facebook user groups. And it has to do with the squelch tail on repeater operations with this radio, and specifically the way I'm hearing it described, and I wanted to make sure that I showed others what this actually sounds like and what might be causing it or not causing it, or what works or doesn't work to eliminate it. And that way it gives people a better understanding of it, because the way I've heard it described could actually put people off of this radio completely, and I don't think it's an accurate description. But what we're talking about here, I'll go ahead and turn the radio on real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kerchunk this repeater. And what I want you to listen for very specifically is the little burst of squelch at the end when the repeater releases and goes back into standby mode. So I'll go ahead and key down and we can hear that now. So you hear that little bit of squelch at the end there. Now that's a common thing. That occurs on every single radio that I own, and I've heard it reported very inaccurately. And look, it's the internet. Anybody can say anything they want, and half the time it's not true. I've heard people say, well, my radio doesn't do that at all on any repeater, and that's not true. I've pulled out pretty much all of the HTs that I own, and went through a pretty good chunk of them, and I haven't found one that doesn't make some kind of noise at the end of the repeater cycle. So let me do that one more time. So you hear that little burst at the end. Now, I heard that. It got my attention when I first started using the radio, and I was like, well, that's a little bit different. I don't find it tremendously annoying, but let me show you on another TID radio the same set of circumstances, and you can hear the difference and see if it's that dramatic or not. So let's go ahead and key down. Okay, so you hear it, but what you notice at the end was the same squelch at the same volume, by the way, but much shorter. So let's do that again. So again, it does the same thing, but the difference is the duration. It's not necessarily the volume, it's the fact that the H3 does it for just a little bit longer than the other radio. Let's do that one more time. And that's the point of contention. That's the rub that some people are experiencing and finding annoying, is that it does that squelch for a little bit longer than it should. Now, there is a setting in the radio, if you go to, I believe it's 40, okay, you'll see RPST, that's Repeater Squelch Tail Eliminator, or Elimination. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to turn that on and see if it makes any kind of a change. So what we have here is numbers. Cycles all the way up, it goes from off all the way up to 10. So let's give this maximum elimination. Let's go for a full count to 10. So let's go ahead and select that and exit. And now let's see if it made any change at all. No change whatsoever. Well, maybe it's the other direction. So let's select 1 and see if that changes. No change, exactly the same. Let's try 5. Whoops. Nothing. So no amount of adjustment on the repeater squelch tail eliminator makes any change whatsoever on it. So what I'm kind of led, here's my hypothesis. I think that's a function that you can apply. I just don't think it's connected, because it's changing nothing. Whether it's off, whether it's 1, whether it's 5, whether it's 10, it changes nothing in relation to the squelch tail from that repeater. So I don't know if this is something that needs to be fixed in firmware, but I will say this, it really doesn't bother me all that much. Again, I noticed it. I noticed it's a little louder than some other radios, but it's not something that is nearly as horrendous or horrifying as I've heard it described on the internet. So I'm not belittling people that are bothered by it. If you're bothered by it, then you're generally bothered by it. So it may be a problem for you. But what I don't want is for people to run with that and think that it's a serious problem with the radio. You can evaluate for yourself based on what you heard here. Now, I have also heard people say very inaccurately that the same thing applies. You get that same tail at the end of simplex communications as well. So what I want to show you, let's go ahead and turn this down ever so slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and use GMRS simplex channel 5. Test 1 2, test 1 2. Nothing. There's no tail at the end of that whatsoever. So if you're reading somewhere that you're getting this incredibly loud squelch tail on repeaters and simplex as well, number one, if you're getting it on simplex, there might be something wrong with your radio. I don't see it. So if you're hearing that, it may be somebody embellishing. And then beyond that, how loud is it? It's no louder than anything else. The difference is the duration of the squelch tail. The other ones are a bit shorter. It's more of just a chunk rather than a full kush sound. So I wanted to just cover that real quick so people have a better understanding of the issue as it relates to this radio, and you can make your own determination on whether or not this is indeed a problem or would be a problem for you. So there you go. With that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, from Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.